Okay, so this is your first musical video as far as for the music appreciation class. I have not made one of these yet as far as I've been doing math videos this whole time because last 2 terms I taught all math classes, but I'm excited about this class. For one, just because I have taught mainly math. I taught a few other courses here, but this will be a subject that I think it would be very beneficial in one way because we can kind of step out of the technical side of things. Math is very technical. A lot of times we got to learn every formula, all the processes, how to do this, how to do that. With music, it's just wide open, and there's so much that we can discuss and cover, and yet at the same time, I want this class to always keep that feel of that we are just appreciating, music appreciation, that we're really appreciating the different choices in music, the different things that people like about it. Math is a lot of times concrete. If the answer is right or wrong, I've always said I love grading math because there's no subjectivity there where you're like, well, I think that you could use more of this or that. It's right or wrong. The answer is what it's supposed to be or not. But at the same time, there is some rigidness to that when you're teaching it in the way of, I try to show different ways to do problems, but at the same time, you got to come out with the same result. With music and with some of the, other subjects, it's something that there's a lot of interpretation. Someone could look at one type of music and say that's just the best kind of music, or someone else could look and say, well, that's the best kind. And who's right, who's wrong. It really is just how you interpret that and how you appreciate different styles of music. So there's just a lot of neat things about it that I think will be fun for this class. I always want us to be learning, and there's going to be technical things that I show you from my experience and even just what I've learned and some of the videos that I'll be choosing throughout the term. But I also want to always keep that openness to just listen to what you guys respond with. That's where I'm really looking for this class, is the class discussions and the things that we're going to be able to discuss with each other and break down. I wanted to start today's video. I wanted to kind of start though with my journey of music to just give you, I think it'd be important for you guys to know kind of my experiences with it, to where it gives you some insight to where I'm coming from. And just to, this is a subject I have no problem talking about just because I enjoy it so much. And so that's why I kind of wanted to start with this, just introduce my experiences with it. Not to, I know usually when I teach math or the other courses, I always tell a little bit about myself the very first class. And then over time of the class, we find other things out about each other. And it's going to be hard being online to do that, but I always like to do a little bit of that the first day, maybe 10, 15 minutes of my travels and different things. But this is more not just to be like, well, this is me, like I'm on some kind of, it's just where I'm like, this is my life story. Tell us your life story. This is just, I want to just kind of set up that, here's my knowledge, here's the things I've learned, here's how I come about some of that knowledge, and then that way, we always keep it grounded in like, hey, let's try to learn this, let's look at this, but that I'm not the, end all of all music knowledge, just because there's always to be learning and there's always things that you could be doing with music, and that's the creative side of it, is that who knows what the best, you could do something that no one's ever heard before, and so I think that's important to keep that aspect of it. So I started when I was about 8 years old. My family has always been musical. My sister, my older sister, I like to tease that she just like she would hog all the Monopoly money and keep it all to herself, she did that with the singing talent. She took it all and kept it to herself. And so I always tease about that because I really, growing up in a music family, my vocal, I never sang that much. And so we'd sing at places or do things. My dad's a pastor, so we would go at our church and sing and do those things. And I always felt like, well, I can't really sing. So, it was kind of hard at a young age to get involved in music, just because I always thought singing was really the one thing I could be a part of, and I couldn't really do that well. So I just, I would just go to different places where they had music, and I liked music, but I didn't get that into it. As far as, hey, Amy, do you want to come say hey to the camera? Heather popped in. It's so funny. It's my second video. Heather came into the first video, and so now every video they're going to expect someone to pop in.
Am I there?
Yes.
Hi, everyone.
See, they're spontaneous. I'm encouraging our students, like, hey, we are back. We're starting to get there. So you get to be in this video.
All right, that's
You'll be
great.
famous.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, you're fine. No, it's perfect. But as far as when music became a thing for me was, after, as far as, I made it past that first part of not being able to sing, I began to get interested in the drums. And so I was starting to hit on things and, keep a beat and clap. And, I was like, drums were just really cool. So my parents, long story there, but we got a drum set, and it was there at the church. And my dad, he plays a lot of things. He plays piano, guitar, and he sings, and in fact started with music ministry. And so I started playing with him. He'd play the piano and I started playing drums. And, it was a slow process at first. It was, I was just keeping just a simple little beat, and it took me a long time to kind of get past some of the hurdles of first learning music. So, there was a long time there at the beginning where it could have went either way. Could have just been like an 8-year-old just trying something out and being like, okay, I don't want to do that. But I stuck with it. And so I got to where I could play, in front of people, and I really got to where, I started listening to songs. And that's what I'm really pushing, where we are going to look at some technical things, but this class is not going to be about learning an instrument or anything like that. It's going to be about how to appreciate music and see some of the things that go into it, so that if you choose to want to continue that, you can. And also, I probably know there's probably some of you guys that already have played an instrument, or already, had some experience with music. And so, I don't want this to necessarily be, I'm going to show you how to play these exact chords. You may already know. It's just looking at the things that go into music, so that any choices you make after that could be more, rich and more things that you could do. So I started playing the drums pretty frequently, and I stuck with that. Of course, as time went on, I got better, and I began to play more things. And then after that, I was about a junior in high school, and my buddies, we all started kind of this band. And, we thought, oh, we're in a band, But through that, my dad, he had all these instruments at the house. And I would have friends come over and they'd start playing guitar, and I would find like a pizza box or something to hit on. And then, if we played at a place that had drums, I'd play the drums. And I began to be like, I felt left out a lot of times, because they'd be learning a song and chorus, and I'd have to wait till they learned it and then, hit the pizza box. So I was like, I should start learning guitar. And so I actually started with bass guitar, because I would just learn the notes I needed. And I would just play one note at a time. And so I kind of learned that way first. And then I started learning the chords, and actually playing full chords, and then strumming the guitar, and built from there. And that kind of took off really fast. I think what helped me is I already had a rhythm background. I already had that, how to keep a beat, how to listen for music, listen for chord changes. So that progressed pretty quickly. And by senior year of high school, I was playing guitar at different places. And what was neat about that, about joining the band and about playing guitar and doing that, there was a lot of opportunities I got to do that I would have never thought I could do. I was able to play for some bands that, later kind of made it big, or got to experience some things with that, and just get to, go places and do things I would have never thought. And then play, different things for my school. I'd start playing guitar. My sister would sing a lot of times with me. And, it's just really neat. And that's continued on to where, there's been things I've gotten to do with music that I just look back and just enriched my life, and I've enjoyed. One of the things, we start playing, even in college, we started playing coffee houses and meeting people and, playing at special events. Of course, doing those things, I was always able to kind of get better and keep learning things. And as you play with other people, you begin to learn things from them. And then I always played, praise and worship at our church, started playing there. And, I look back and I just, I'm so thankful that I began to learn those things at that early age. And even, not that age has to do anything with it, but just kind of be able to get better and stay with it. And a couple of the places I got to play, I'll never forget, I got to play at my grandma's 80th birthday with some of my family members. I have a cousin that plays guitar and uncles that play instruments, and my dad, and so that was a neat experience. And so, those kind of things, I look back and I'm glad that I took up an instrument and learned about music. Guitar, eventually I reached a peak to me where I felt like, okay, if I really wanted to get better, I would have to spend a lot of time on it. And that instrument, I enjoyed it, but it never really sparked my interest as much as, spending all the time. What was frustrating is sometimes someone would learn a couple things from me. I remember one student, I say student, he was just a friend that started learning guitar. I had been playing for some time and we were showing him chords and he was just learning. Well, within no time, he got so good, and he actually spent so much time on it right away that he outplayed us, and now he's just phenomenal. And so that for me, it was a little frustrating because I was like, wow, how come I've kind of got stuck in a spot? And I feel like any song I can play, but just to play it well and do all this. So it was one of those things where I was like, well, do I want to just immerse myself in guitar? Well, about that time I started taking up piano, and piano just was something that clicked right away with me, and I love playing the piano as far as instrument-wise. There's just a lot of challenges to it, and there's a lot of things that I feel like I like to do, and so that's the main instrument I pretty much play now in my spare time and learn. And so I'll probably include, once again, this isn't just to push myself or anything, it's just to show you how music can open doors and just have fun with it, and that it's enjoyable and it's something that you can learn about technical things of it, but also at the same time just enjoy it for what it is. But I'll probably include a video I shot here a while back playing a song, and so you're welcome. You don't have to watch it if you don't want to for the class, but I'll probably post that with this so that if you want to watch that, you can. But anyway, like I said, that was my kind of progression through music. Now, through all that, there was more technical things I learned where I had to actually learn some of the reading of music or things like. Now, I am not a sight reader of music to where I can read sight music and play along, but I have learned the different notes from that, and then if the chords are there, I can follow along. And there's benefits to learning that style and way to play, but there's also benefits to being able to just listen to the song and hear the notes. And I feel like I'm glad I've got that aspect to my music because I can hear a song and kind of pick out the things that I like and play it that way. So, that's as far as my music journey that I've learned things along the way, but I begin to appreciate now. Through that, my music choices have changed through time. When I was younger, there were certain songs I liked just because they sounded good, and as I got older, I found I began to gravitate towards more music that was challenging and music that, I recognized the talent a lot of times where I was like, wow, I know from playing music how hard it is to do what they just did, whoever enjoyed it. One example, and I've got, my music choices range quite a bit, as far as just things I like, but one artist, and I'll have an assignment today that I'm going to have you do for attendance and for points today for the daily assignment is I want you to answer a question, and the question will be on the Google Classroom. So the question will be posed to you, and you're going to answer that question. I also put on there that the question is going to be basically your music influence, the ones you like, and just music you like. Not talking about playing and things you like, but just listening to music, what's your favorite music bands and those kind of things. You can actually respond to each other, and there are a lot, I'm hoping our discussion boards can go that way. One thing I will, like I'm getting in class mode right here, one thing I do ask is that you respect each other on those, so if someone puts something you disagree with, I mean, you're welcome to say, hey, I disagree with that, but be respectful. Just say, hey, this is why I think I like this person more, things like that. We know what we're talking about there, where we can have, we can differ on choices and talk about those differences, but yet always be respectful. And remember, we're in a professional classroom experience, so keep that in mind as well. So, but basically, I'm gonna have you answer that question. I think I put three, your three top choices of bands or music influences. One example of mine would be like Harry Connick Jr. He's someone probably around college, a little after college, I started listening to. I think what helped me grow to that point of choosing different kinds, or even looking at some of the talent, like I talked about, was, there was older songs that I hadn't really heard, like old standards and stuff. Once I got to know those songs and recognize and be able to sing along with them, and that's part of music too, is familiarity. If you know the song, you can sing to it, you enjoy it. And so I begin to hear more of those songs and know them, to where then I begin to notice people that were playing that type of music, even modern times, and begin to realize how good they were, and how good musically it was, and how hard some of the things that they were doing was. And so, that's someone, as I got older, I began to really enjoy the music, even though he had, I think his music had been out even when I was younger, well, definitely when I was younger, but I just began to later in life listen to it and realize how hard it was to play. And so I was actually able, I've seen him 3 times in concert, and so, and I'm just, every time I'm blown away about how good the music, the band is. And so, that's one example of mine, as far as, learning that type and how good that music is. And so, there's all different kinds of answers. I'll give you a chance to answer. I'll probably later maybe share some more. But, that was how I kind of reached some style. So something like that, I want you to answer that question on how you why you enjoy that music, or why, what led you to that. I think we all could admit there's probably songs from when we were younger, that song that we still like today, that we'll hear and be like, oh, I remember that song, I haven't heard that in years. And there's probably some music that you hear and you're like, I listened to that, like, what was I thinking? I think not just with music, like probably our clothes choices and things like that, we probably look back and go, what were we thinking? So, if you want to share some of those, maybe even if you want to put, well, I really liked this person back in the day, but now not so much. I just want you to begin to talk about those choices. Reason why I want to start with this is it helps me get to know you a little bit, even though it's virtually and it's not in the class. I wish we were all in the class, but it helps me kind of get to know your choices, your favorites, and I think that'll help to me make choices in the future, like try to incorporate some of the other styles that you guys like, and I think too it'll help just kind of see where we're all at, and kind of build from there as the class goes on. I think it's one of those things where I want this class, and I know I'm kind of wrapping it up here, but I want this class to make sure that we are learning and we're finding new things out about music, and but yet at the same time we're enjoying the aspect of just enjoying music, and kind of keeping that balance there of where we're, it's not all technical, like, and for me, I think about, I teach math and we have all these classes and it's important and we need to learn those, but I think too there's a side that you can be like, hey, I can enjoy things just for listening to it, and then also make decisions based on, hey, now I start to see what goes into making a song. How hard was it of something they just played? And two, we're gonna look at some history things of music, how it got from, all the way back when music first started being played, and just different things through cultures. That's one thing I'm also looking forward to is, I had an opportunity a couple summers ago to go to the Musical Instrument Museum in Arizona, and it had instruments I'd never heard of or seen, and all the different cultures and what they play. And I begin to realize, there's one, I'm used to certain kind of Western culture music, but there's just so much, choices out there. So anyway, but I want to start with this. So hope you get a kind of feel. If you have questions for me on the Google Classroom, you can always send messages. If you have questions for each other, you can always email me, and there's things I can address, in future videos. But I just kind of want to give a basis of my experience with music and how I kind of got to where I was, and then also make sure you answer the question that's on the Google Classwork part. So just because this is new, and some of you guys may be new, this may be some of your first classes this term, just so you know, this video will post, it should have posted at midnight on, on the night I sent it, it posted midnight, and then you have all day to answer that question till midnight, the night that it's due. So, just make sure you also go, not only watch this video, but also go to the classwork part, and you'll get a notification too as well saying there was a question posed, and make sure you answer that question. Okay? Thanks guys, looking forward to it, and hope we have a good time in the class and learn a lot.